When it first opens up, you see a girl enclosed in a case of ice. Some of the first words she says are, "Let's play a game." This already put me in high hopes as it made me think back to Saw, one of my favorite movie franchises. Now, while I didn't think this girl was going to make them fight for their lives, I thought the games would at least give you some sort of repercussions. If you die in a game, however you do not die in real life, there's no stakes really. You can simply fail and nothing come of it. If you lose so many times, you won't be able to try again. But nothing happens to your life, you just don't get a wish granted, like there's no chance of that, but nothing else really happens. The reason I went with God's Games, or Kami wa Game ni Utoru, to be the first anime I reviewed is that it had some of my favorite genres attached to it: suspense, high-stake games, and strategy game. What do I want to say about that though? Suspense and high-stake games are my royal tushy. If you're a fan of those genres too, do not go here looking for them. Instead, go run to Batum, Danganronpa, or even Gantz. The premise of this show is the gods of the world have gotten extremely bored and decided on a whim to let humans challenge them to games. If they're able to win 10 games, they are granted a wish. Lachey and Faye team up to get their very average wishes granted. They really could have come up with something more unique, but Lachey just wants to be able to go home, and Faye wants to be able to find someone from his past that made him love games to begin with, and it just so happens to look like Lachey. And if I had $1 for every anime about a character trying to find someone from their past, I would definitely be able to fund a trip to Super Nintendo World. Some of the art is questionable. In the first game that Faye and Lachey play together in a group, they face a rock titan. It looks as if the rocky texture they were trying to create was drawn with colored pencils. It reminded me of something a kid would have been able to draw in an art class. A couple of other monsters will follow this pattern in the show, but not all of them. During the god battles, they add a texture on top of the animation. It's not throughout the entire anime, just the god battles. It's nowhere to be found during the world games either, just the normal ones, which makes it feel even more out of place and random. That paired with the sometimes colored pencil drawings just feel like they were trying to be artistic and unique, but it failed to execute. I thought my computer monitor was going bad until I switched to watching it on my TV, and I realized it was intentional. Speaking of the world games, in Mind Arena, the game they played just made me wish I could switch to watching Yu-Gi-Oh! They summoned AI monsters to do battle for them and take away hit points or life points. There were spells, traps, and of course it used cards. I happen to love Yu-Gi-Oh! So I honestly didn't mind this much. It was kind of enjoyable. But it was just a single game and it was built up like it was going to be a tournament arc, so it was a bit of a letdown as I usually do enjoy tournament arcs. However, it was random and didn't add much to the main storyline, so I can see why they decided to keep it short. I just feel like it should have either been longer or cut out completely, because just the one episode and the one game just felt way too awkward. Also, it might just be me, but I found the side characters way cuter than Lachey. It was a mistake to show me a hottie like Miranda to then let me down with Lachey. Don't get me wrong, Lachey has her own charms, but Miranda was totally my type. Actually, when you get down to it, there are several supporting characters I found to be cuter or more charming than the lead. Other than Miranda, we have Pearl, Ouroboros, and Kurlik that all outshine her. Sorry, Lachey fans. She was just a bit too one-track minded for my taste. She sent a whole group of people to the hospital just for complaining that they didn't like the God Games. She's just a bit narrow-minded and childish for me. There are 2 episodes that involve giant cats that they have to face off against, and these 2 are probably my favorite episodes of the series. The giant cats were rather adorable, the game they played was simple yet entertaining, the god for the game reminded me of Ra from Smite, and it had me laughing every time it would zoom up on someone getting chased off by the cats. It was way more entertaining than the end of the show, that's for sure. So what were my overall thoughts on the show? It was just a lackluster no game, no life copycat. The gods were clearly watching over the games for their own entertainment, so if they saw a fellow god stranded, I feel like they could have helped her. But even when she met gods, she didn't even ask for help. And Faye's mystery woman was never brought up again until a flash in the last episode, making it even less important. Both of them just felt like means to be able to have a reason for them to participate or exist in the show in general, instead of true desires. A big flaw was the characters themselves not evolving or having much depth to them. there's a real problem when the sides are better than the main dish. The opening and ending were both mid as well. Everything overall was. The ending I Am Game is actually sung by Hina Tachibana, the voice actress for Pearl, which made me appreciate it a little bit more, as I do like it when they have inserts with the voice actors, because it gives it a whole extra layer. But it wasn't enough to keep me from skipping it every time, because it just didn't keep my interest enough. Now, who is the biggest cutie of the show? Need I say more? Her voice actor is talented, her character is adorable, and she had way more presence than the actual main female of the show. So what is the final rating? All in all, I've royaled to create it to be a 6.5. I enjoyed it, but I could have spent my time on a better anime, and now you can since I did it for you. Take care and see you next time.